Everybody knows. Travis Wayne Goodsell. Everybody knows. And nobody really will say it other than the Ukrainians. So, yesterday, the moon was at the tail of the goat beast, the serpent from the garden story. It's doing very well in views, but as I expressed, it was just another sign in the heavens from the Book of Mormon, talking about many signs, and despite the many signs, the Mormons were disputing and contending about the truth. So, yep, sure enough, such is the case. Though I am very curious, my Thomas B. Marsh video, the Mormon's working right now. It's his shift. He started to tamper with the processing, repeating it, and then all of a sudden it stopped and rushed to the end of processing into the checks. What did you listen to? What did you hear that changed your mind in attacking me? See, what Mormons refuse to believe is that I can support Joseph Smith, that I can support the Book of Mormon. They cannot accept that. Ex-Mormons can't accept it. Nobody can accept it. We're not Christian. That's the whole problem. When you think Joseph Smith is a Christian, you are all screwed up. You got to think in terms of the learning of the Jews. And then all of a sudden, wow, Joseph Smith is good and true. It's amazing. So yes, Thomas B. Marsh, again, was another Mormon that got deceived by the Danites and believed the Danite claims and blamed Joseph. Just like ex-Mormons. You are believing the lies of the Danites. And thus it's causing you a lot of problems in knowing what the true history of this church is about. And it's not something that is done and gone, and it's in the past, and we don't need to worry about it. Because it has to do with right now, with what's going on in Ukraine, and every single one of you should be scared. Not just about the church for what they've done, but what's going to happen to us. You thought a certain pandemic scared and ruined your lives? Well, you ain't saying nothing yet. We got nukes coming. Everybody knows it. And so if you don't know it and you don't believe it, well, you're in for a rude awakening. But this is what they sacrificed their lives for. To warn you, to save you. And you're arguing whether Joseph Smith had the Book of Mormon written by a rock and a hat or not. The church has deceived you. So, let's give you the week's forecast from the signs in the heavens. And this is God's doing. I can't touch it. I can't abracadabra move. It doesn't work that way. And I hope you don't believe that. And so, yes, they're all out right now. I had to move it up a few hours on the screen so that they can be centered. But today, this morning, the moon is at the Thioth. Remember that series I did? Of course not. It has to do with this year's lesson in the Old Testament about the seed of Messiah. The moon is at the crotch, and it moves to 11 o'clock and noon by the thigh. That's how much the moon moves, not just moving across the sky. The moon also is moving. And so the moon is at that position right now. And that's the position for the signal that the fall is associated with the promise of the Lord to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. Somebody's knocking. God. Okay. So, Venus and Saturn are still at the tail of Satan, the serpent, from the garden story. Went over that with you. Serpent is a sea serpent, and cattle is the goat. Upon thy belly shalt thou go. Mars is the leader of the great and abominable church. I went over that with you. Mars was at the top of the scales of judgment, therefore the judge, when the previous president of the great and abominable church died that night. Signs in the heavens and the likeness of things on the earth. And so he's moving his way to the tail end, working his way through the bowels. And so again, Venus being on top is Lilith to Adam, who is Saturn at the below, but that's for a remembrance for us of creation, the whole purpose of creation, which is all about the waters parting, the dry land emerging, the Exodus, the lesson that the church purposely skipped this year. The one main story of the Jews, and as Mormons, it's the learning of the Jews, and the church skips it for conference? Dear God, those bastards. And so, yeah, the creation story is about the seed of Messiah. Everything is all symbol and type and shadow of the Mormon man like Moses. Deuteronomy 18, which Joseph Smith himself says is the Christ in his history, which was not Moroni, it was Nephi. I never did check. Should I check and make this a longer video? Should I? Should I? Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Lack wisdom. Okay, quoting the prophecies in the Old Testament. Let's see. I don't see a blue thing for a linkage. Do you not even call yourself by name? Oh, that is a bombshell in and of itself. While I was thus in the act of calling upon God, I discovered a light appearing in the room, not waking up my brothers who were sleeping in the beds next to me, which continued to increase until the room was lighter than at noonday. That's Amen. That's the name of our Christ. When immediately a personage appeared beside the bedside, standing in the air, for his feet did not touch the floor. He had on a loose robe, he was naked, see through his clothes. The room was bright, and wine, and light. When I first looked upon him, I was afraid, but fear soon left me. He called me by name and said unto me that he was a messenger sent from the presence of God to me, and that his name was Nephi. Oh, they left it in. Good. Joseph Smith Papers. Nephi. Confirmed. So, don't be a sucker and a loser. Don't keep telling people it's Moroni. Nephi. Trust me. It's Nephi. That's his new name. There's a reason why. You know how the Bible has 1st and 2nd Samuel and then 1st and 2nd Kings? Well, the actual names of 1st and 2nd Samuel are 1st and 2nd Kings. And so 1st and 2nd Kings are actually named 3rd and 4th Kings. Now, when Nephi made it to the promised land, separating from his brothers, the people chose to call the successors to the throne of the Nephites Nephi. Remember that? And so how was the Book of Mormon designed after the 116 pages had to be rewritten? 1st, 2nd Nephi, 3rd, 4th Nephi. That was done on purpose. And again, if you're stuck in the belief that the Book of Mormon is literal history, you didn't watch my Richmond video. Everybody knows the Book of Mormon is not a literal history. But nobody wants to know the truth about what the Book of Mormon actually is. And it is a warning for us right now. It talks about Russia working with the Danites to overthrow the world with nukes. And I have that video yet to do. So, the seed of Messiah, Moses chapter 7 verse 53. Blessed is he through whose seed Messiah shall come, learning of the Jews. This is the moon. The two eyes of Horus from the Egyptians, language of the Egyptians, are the sun and the moon. Sun, moon. The two of them together are the word Peter, which means seer. Yeah, Joseph Smith knew that too. The sun is for government, the moon is for religion. And so, type in shadow, moon is religion. And it's falling. That's the whole point. It rises and falls on a cycle basis. Types and shadows. And so now it is there at the seed of Messiah, the usurpation of the great and abominable church by the true president of the church with the keys of Moses. Because the great and abominable church president doesn't have them. He's a fraud. He's a scam artist. He's a criminal. He's a terrorist. He's seditionist, etc., etc. He's the bad guy. He's murdering and holding Mormons in bondage. And so that's what the moon is meaning right now in the sky. That this is the fulfillment. That the great and abominable church must fall. And so, the hero of the story is Jupiter. And he's in limbo, waiting to see what's going to happen to him. In between Aquarius and Pisces. As Mercury, which has been identified as the government leader of the nation housing the great and abominable church, is getting closer to the sun. but is at the tail of the dragon, falling. I guess the ratings are looking bad for that government leader. But yeah, it's not the current one. It's the one that was put on the throne by the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. Remember? I did that video back in 2016, which was official in 2017, the first year of his reign. Alright, so tomorrow, the moon is now with Jupiter. Promise of the thigh oath, promise of the seed to restore the throne of Joseph Smith. Type and shadow. Restore the Church of Jesus Christ. So the moon is there with Jupiter. Venus is separating away from the tail, is still technically there. Mars is getting closer to the tail. Alright, so Thursday, the 31st, the moon is now again at the sea serpent's tail. This is the sea serpent only, no goat beast serpent. And so this is the water serpent. It is on the back of Pegasus. So it's flying on Pegasus in outer space. John is correct, it's literal. Jesus Christ is going to be riding Pegasus when he comes down to save the Ukrainians, not the Jews in Jerusalem, and stop the war. Alright? That's what everybody believes. Oh, what? They don't? They're confused? They think that John in Revelation is a literal prophecy, that there's actual dragons, actual serpents, actual lambs, actual frogs, actual Jesus, actual Armageddon, actual Jerusalem. Yeah, well, the Jews are concerned that that's what Christians believe and are doing all they can to try to mediate the war. Just as the Pope is freaked out because of the Sisters of Fatima, and so he's been trying to call for peace for the Russian president, because he knows exactly what this is. And so yes, President Biden, as a Catholic, sends President John Kennedy, knows exactly about the Sisters of Fatima, and is why he has not gone in militarily into Ukraine. And he knows Putin needs to be stopped. He knows Putin has to be removed. He knows. But he's scared to be the president that Putin nukes the world for. Because then he'll have to make the decision to use the nuclear football. This is why Putin waited till now. In case you were wondering of all the other people speculating. Well, why didn't he do it during Asterisk 45 presidency? He could have done it then. He would have even helped him nuke America himself. He wanted to nuke America. Dear God, he was pissed at us. So yeah, don't be surprised that you heard it from me. Putin purposely waited. And so Mercury is getting closer. Venus is heading towards the thigh, or the side, the thorn in the side of Aquarius. Luke was the physician who attended, was it Paul? And it was because of the thorn in the side. They think it was diabetes, but regardless. You first have to confirm identities and reality before you start speculating on other things. rather than identifying them as types and shadows for the latter days. And so, yes, Mars is closer to the tail, and Jupiter is moving closer to Pisces, where it'll retrograde in Pisces on the back of the flying horse. Alright, and so on Friday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, and it might, because the moon is now new. Mercury is entering into conjunction with the sun. Jupiter is at the border of Pisces. Venus is at the border of the thorn in the side. Saturn is still in the tail, retrograding, or going slow. And Mars is right there at the border of the tail. Everybody's at the border on the 1st. Is this nuke day? I don't know. That's up to Putin. Putin will decide when nuke day is. The church paid for it, but it's up to Putin as to when he's going to do it. He's already destroyed the churches in Ukraine. It's likely the temple is destroyed. We don't know yet. I haven't gotten confirmation since the last confirmation that they were closer. They had occupied the city that was right on that path of the road to the temple. But I hadn't heard anything since, other than conflicting information. You know, I'm hearing some news that's saying Ukrainians are taking back land, and others that Russia has now occupied a new city. I can't trust the news. Everybody's saying something different. And some are even saying both. They say in one, all the Russians are taking another city, and then the next video clip, all the Ukrainians are taking back the land. Come on, guys, make up your mind. So anyway, now the 2nd, I had to widen out the screen because we're needing to include Aries, the ram. Abraham sacrificing Isaac. A ram appears. This is also a lamb. It is a constellation of the lamb. And it has a specific purpose for Revelation and Joseph Smith. Last Supper of the Lamb, and has to do with Passover, which the church refuses to teach you. They're skipping that lesson with conference. And Metallica sings the song about it with Creeping Death. And so the moon is finishing up in Pisces and on the back of the horse, and is heading towards Aries now. This is Saturday morning of conference. Mercury is almost with the sun. Jupiter is still at the border of Pisces, and Venus is now officially a thorn in the side of the high priest symbol, Aquarius. And that may be part of the reason, is that the Mormons are the ones who are bugging the presidents of the church, the prophets of the church. That they're watching my video, that's obvious. I always have a breakout video for conference, and this year it was the one that I was hoping would be, but started off slow, but continued to grow, and then boom, it's now going to be the video that everybody will cling to for conference, about polygamy being restored. You don't believe it? Yeah, well, you're in for a rude awakening. Let's see, it's the Book of Mormon. It's the fall. Yeah, this could be what that means, but I don't see Mormons getting upset and doing this. So I'm not sure what they were understanding here, but yeah, the prophets are definitely pushing the buttons of Mormonism. You know, Brad Wilcox, yeah, that pushed buttons. And the church pushed more buttons by silencing everybody. Silencing the news, silencing all the Twitter feeds, all the social media posts. Even my videos of it just tanked. You know, and the main one, yeah, it continued to slowly increase since then. It's over 1,000 views now. But nonetheless, I told you, nobody believes me. So 1 Nephi chapter 22, verse 13. And the blood of that great and abominable church, which is the whore of all the earth, Babylon, the coded word from John in Revelation, which Joseph Smith likewise uses in the Doctrine and Covenants, shall turn upon their own heads. This is the Purim theory, the Purim principle, with the book of Esther, or Ishtar, or Isis in origin. And it has to do with false accusers in Deuteronomy chapter 19, near the end of the chapter, in which the false accuser is then punished with the punishment that would have been for the victim of the false accuser. Purim, from that story. And so the church, being great and abominable, will be punished with the same punishment that they've been murdering and torturing and holding Mormons in bondage with. They will then be punished. And I have no clue. I've given so many tips and documents and evidence and historical background. I've given them money trails, receipts, and none of the government agencies will do anything to stop them. And I can only conclude they are in on it too. For they shall war among themselves. This is the great and abominable church. Mormons against Mormons. Something is supposed to happen. Now, yes, there are Mormon Russians who are in the war against Ukrainian Mormons. The numbers are kind of few, and it's kind of a weak claim, but technically, yeah. And the sword of their own hands shall fall upon their own heads. Again, that's the Purim thing. They're going to be punished with what they sought to murder the Mormons with. And so that's why I did the other video that, I don't know, will that be another breakout? Not yet. The polygamy one is what everybody's interested in. But yeah, the fall, yeah, that video is doing very well. This is what it's talking about, is that the church will fall for having murdered the Mormons. And I've gone over with you how God uses the signs in the heavens and the likeness of things on the earth to show that he disapproves of the presidents of the great and abominable church, the lunar eclipses. And we're in the middle of a tetrad, lest we forget. And so I did the chart. And so Deuteronomy 19 about false accusers, Joseph Smith was assassinated by the leader of the great and abominable church under his orders. And Joseph Smith, yes, there was a sign in the heavens of a lunar eclipse. And so with that false accusation and the punishment for the false accusation, for the falsely accused Joseph Smith, therefore God has made it clear to everyone that he disapproves of the successor, the usurper, that created the great and abominable church, and still exists to this day. And, as I just did in the video, everybody knows they're the ones plotting all this, and paid Putin for it, and are profiting on the stock market for it. Although Tesla shut down operations in China because of their outbreak, keeping the Mormons locked down in Shanghai. Well, they have dominion over all the face of the earth. And the Lamb, the Church of the Lamb, are within them. Just like Mars is in the bowels of the great and abominable church, so too are the true Mormons within the great and abominable church, and need to be exodused, saved from the great and abominable church to go build Zion. And I see 1 Nephi chapter 22, and they shall fall into the pit which they dig to ensnare the people of the Lord. And verse 14 there. They shall be drunken with their own blood. And so, yes, I have literally seen comments by Mormons who are bloodthirsty. I have seen the news reports of Mormons who are bloodthirsty. Dear God. But when? I don't know. It's up to Mormons. What's going to cause you to be triggered against your own prophets? Would it be something done and said on Saturday? When the special session for women, the 666 session for women, will occur? 18, 3 6s. 180th, 3 6s for the 18. It's kind of hilarious if they didn't know that that's what they were doing, if they didn't plan it. But it was President Ezra Taft Benson who purposely changed to have a 5-term year for the Relief Society presidents. And so I'm sorry, they know, and they purposely did that for that reason. They cannot claim ignorance and innocence. And they have to do it by claiming Emma as the founder, when she wanted nothing to do with Brigham and anything he did. And that's the thing they won't tell us. They let us believe that Emma fell away after Joseph died, and she went to hell. But oh, there's hope for her because Joseph Smith said that he'd go to hell to save her. Despite Brigham Young, section 132, which says Joseph Smith was going to murder Emma if she didn't let him have multiple wives. Oh, dear God. Brigham. How hast thou fallen? Oh, yeah, your wife died, and so you wanted revenge. Got it. Heber's reason was for a different reason. Heber wanted revenge for the masonry temples of the Scottish Rites 33-degree Masons. That's what he wanted revenge for. He was the one that was infiltrated by the Illuminati to overthrow America and the world governments right now with the nukes. Destroy Christianity all at once, because no Jesus will come to save anybody from nukes. And if it's the learning of the Jews, and for some reason there is a God and he does send the man like Moses, he's mortal. They know this. They'll murder him. And that's what Mormons do not understand, is that they are murdering their own Christ, of whom they are not looking for, because they have been fooled by the great and abominable church, who set up an idol god at the pulpit of conference, who go around telling everybody, we're Christian, and the idol god that Constantine created and creation of Christianity is our God. It's just one of the others that were rejected at the Nicene Council. And so you guys have turned Joseph Smith into a Christian. Dear God. Alright. So did I get to the... No, I didn't. So Sunday. Something is showing here, and whether Nelson pisses off the women in Saturday's session, I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. They love to piss off the Mormons and Mormon women and LGBTQIAPO+, and blacks, and the poor. That's what they do. They're white supremacists. They are a hate group, regardless of whether the Southern Poverty Law Center labels them as such. And so here's the thing. When I knew about the tetrad, and obviously we all know 3 apostles died, and I did the video and found there was a common theme of Aries having stars falling from the heaven. Well, the stars are falling from the heaven right now in Virgo, but not Aries. And so I didn't think originally that this would be one of those days. And yet, with all the signs in the heavens with this, again, process, we are seeing the fall of the church. The moon is representative of religion. Abraham sacrifices Isaac, and the ram appears to take its place. The lamb supper, the death of the lamb. Samson dies, blinded. And so there the moon, after all these signs from scriptures, and the types and shadows, there the moon is on Sunday for conference, the day after Saturday, after the women. A 666 for women. And so, is this just another sign in the heavens to remind us that someday God will fulfill his thigh oath? As prophesied in Scripture. So, and it's unclear, but yeah, Mars is now at the tail of the dragon. Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. And the third part of the stars fell from the tail of the dragon. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Falling star. The tail, falling stars. That's what this all associates with. And so the religion with the leader of that great and abominable church at the tail of the goat beast indicates the collapse of the great and abominable church. Because if it were just the leader, well, we know that the successor will just take over. And we'll then have who knows how much longer. You know, we have 2 years, people. 2. That's it. That's all. And we're done. We don't get to Zion, we're dead. We lose. And so, you've probably seen, if there is no law, there is no punishment. If there is no punishment, there is no God. And blah, blah, blah. Remember those from the Book of Mormon? So, if there is no fall, then there is no Exodus. Then there is no Zion. Then there is no place of peace, safety, and refuge. This is why the great and abominable church must fall to save mankind. Because they will not let us go. They keep saying no. They demand to be in control. They demand to control your lives. They demand to keep you in bondage. They will not set you free. They will lie to you and brainwash you. They don't care about you. They are murdering you and tell you that it's your fault because you don't have enough faith in their idol God to have his healing power. So, there you go. So, if nothing happens, I'm a dead man. That's clear. Because when I file a complaint with any of the wicked people, they retaliate. And this morning I again filed a complaint with the wicked people, and I'm betting they will retaliate again. I will not survive if nothing happens by this weekend. That is clear enough. It's a miracle I'm even here today. I should be getting notification that my internet service again failed to process because the church financially destroyed me. But their attempts to assassinate me have failed. Their attempts to evict me have failed. But they have financially ruined me. So, alrighty. When will it end?